What's up YouTube, Capital G here, checking out a ton of new Salamangreat cards that are coming out in the Soul Burner structure deck that's going to be released in February in the TCG. You guys know I have basically avoided the archetype like the plague. I wasn't too impressed by the stuff in Soul Fusion when I read it, and I really just, I don't know, man, I almost exiled the archetype from my channel, but then I started watching a couple Salamangreat duels, which you guys will shortly see on the channel. It might even be the same day I upload this, and I really started getting into the archetype. I'm not going to lie, I started reading up on the cards. I didn't think that their original mechanic was all that good till I learned about Salamangreat Sanctuary and the fact that the Link 1 monster searches that card from your deck, and I was like, wow, I mean, the ritual's still shitty, but the rest of the stuff is actually pretty decent, and it's like a nice little fun combo deck. And honestly, I've done a full 180 on this archetype. Now I'm very excited about this stuff. Not as excited about like the double L support, obviously, but outside of the Lunalight stuff, I am definitely digging this archetype, and I'm not gonna lie, some of these cards are flipping amazing for the deck. Let's go ahead and break them down because we got a lot of cards to talk about. So first up is Salamangreat Mole. This is a level 1 fire cybers type. If you don't know cyber or about Salamangreats, the entire archetype is fire and it's all cybers based. 0 attack, 0 defense, first, second, both are hard once per turn. First effect says during the main phase of a turn in which you link summoned a link monster, you can special summon this card from your hand to a monster zone that a link monster points to. Effect number 2. If you control no monsters, you can banish this card from the graveyard, then target 5 Salamangreat cards in your graveyard, shuffle those into your deck, and if you do, draw 2 cards. Alright, Pot of Avarice built into the monster from the graveyard is absolutely amazing. Number 1, it kind of does help Salamangreats recover, because Salamangreats, like if you make HEATLEO, and then you have Salamangreat Sanctuary, and then you summon another copy of the HEATLEO to get the bonus effect, you do burn through your extra deck pretty quickly. Salamangreats can also fusion summon, they can discard cards for like super poly, so they do burn through their resources pretty quickly. It's a nice way of recovering, which I like. And then the first effect makes it just a really good card to even draw, because obviously, Salamangreats have a link 1, Veil Links, they have a link 2, Sunlight Wolf, I believe, and then link 3, the HEATLEO. You're going to link summon basically every turn in this deck, and I think that this makes it really easy to get this card out of your hand. You're never probably going to normal summon this card. You should always be special summoning it, and I think that it's just a really nice card. I think it's probably a 2 of in the deck. We have an equipped card called Salamangreat Claw. This is a card that says equipped only to a Salamangreat monster. Effect number 1, you can only control 1 Salamangreat Claw. Effect 2, the equipped monster cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Also, if it attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. Okay, so it does piercing. Effect 3, during each battle phase, if the equipped monster was link summoned using a monster with its name as material, it can make attacks on monsters up to a number equal to its link rating. So basically, if like you summon a HEATLEO with Salamangreat Sanctuary, then you would be able to declare 3 attacks on monsters during that turn. The problem with this card is not really the protection, because I mean, protection is nice, but I'd rather have more offense on my equips than protections. Like, I don't want the duel to drag on. I'm not trying to outgrind you at that point. I'm trying to just kill you. I kind of feel like the Salamangreat monster should have gained like 1,000 attacks so you could really punish them. And the piercing damage, honestly, in Master Rule 4 isn't all that relevant. The only time people really be putting, you know, monsters in defense mode like that, or maybe tokens. So it does allow your Chimera, your Violet Chimera, to like OTK through a token monster. Maybe if your opponent has like a Ray in defense or something like that, you can just kill them. That's kind of nice, but in general, I just don't really think that this card is necessary in the deck. And the fact that you don't get any bonus effects off the fusion monsters, it's only for link monsters, is something that I also don't love. So personally, I wouldn't run this in the deck, but I mean, if you did, it would be like a 0 to 1 in my opinion. Next up, Salamangreat Raccoon. This is a level 1 fire monster. It's Cyberse, of course. 400 attack, 800 defense, second effect hard once per turn. Effect number 1, when a Salamangreat monster you control is selected for an opponent's attack, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target those 2 battling monsters, gain life points equal to the attacking monster's attack. Also, your targeted monster cannot be destroyed by battle for the rest of the turn. Effect number 2, when a Salamangreat monster you control destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, while this card is in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Alright, so this is kind of like a little weird battle phase trick where you're not actually stopping your opponent from attacking your monster, so they can still like ball load you, but generally you're stopping your monster from being destroyed by battle, and you're gaining, you know, life points equivalent to that monster's attack. I don't like this card because number 1, It does nothing if your opponent is attacking you directly. Number 2, you have to destroy their monster by battle, which kind of sucks because if your opponent has a token that you run over, or if it's a pendulum monster, you're not going to be able to get this card back from the graveyard. I mean, if you do want to play this card, it is a card that you can just kind of expend early to like link summon in the duel, because that gets it in the graveyard, then maybe run a monster over and get it back. But I don't know, I think that it's too conditional, because at that point, it just kind of sits in your hand until they attack one of your monsters, and at the end of the day, you're just kind of gaining life points. So I don't know, I don't really think the card is necessary. I wouldn't run it. Next up, we have the best card I think so far that has been revealed for the monsters. This card is just ridiculous in my opinion. This is Salamangreat Gazelle. It is a level 3 Fire Cyber's monster, 1500 attack, 1000 defense, and it has good stats, by the way. First and second, both hard once per turns. Effect number 1, if a Salamangreat monster is sent to the graveyard except another copy of Gazelle, you can special summon this card from your hand. Effect number 2, if this card is normal / special summoned, you can send one Salamangreat card from your deck to the graveyard except another copy of Gazelle. Alright, so this card has 2 effects, and honestly, I think they're both absolutely ridiculous. Number 1, if you look at the second effect, this is basically Armageddon Knight for Salamangreats. People might not realize that Armageddon Knight, currently I would probably say one of the top 3 most powerful cards in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Getting that in your archetype is generally good, especially when there are so many cards in your archetype that summon themselves from the graveyard or activate in the graveyard. Jaguar can summon itself from the graveyard. Falco summons itself from the graveyard. Falco, by the way, when you send that to the graveyard, will get you a spell and trap, a Salamangreat spell or trap from your graveyard, so you can even plus with Falco, then summon it back from the graveyard. Also, the first effect is just dumb. Anytime a monster goes to your grave, or anytime a Salamangreat goes to your grave, you can special summon this. That means you can summon this during the damage step, in the battle phase. You can summon it off of not just link summoning, obviously, but even if you ritual summon, you want to run that terrible eagle card that you're probably not going to run. But if you do happen to exceed summon, you detach a material. Like, this card is just so amazing. Like, I think that this is the best normal summon in the deck by a mile, and I think that this is a bona fide 3 of in the deck. Next up, we have another card that works insanely good with Gazelle. This is Salamangreat Spiny. It's a level 3 as well. This works for the new rank 3 XC they have. It's a Cyber's monster, fire, yada, yada, yada. 1000 attack, 1500 defense. The first and second, both hard once per turns. First effect says, if you control a Salamangreat card, you can discard this card, then target one face-up monster. It gains 500 attack until the end of this turn. I think this effect makes way more sense with the second effect, so I'll read that one too. If a Salamangreat monster, or excuse me, if you control a Salamangreat monster other than Spiny, you can special summon this card from your graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. This card is actually pretty damn good. Number 1, if you normal summon Gazelle, you can just send this card, your Spiny, straight to the graveyard, and then boom, you have 2 monsters on field, 2 level 3s. You can instantly go into the Salamangreat rank 3 XC, which is nice, or you can go into a couple of links. That's also pretty good as well. But then I also like the fact that this card is just really good because you're going to have Salamangreat monsters on the field. You can activate the first effect. You can give your Salamangreat monster just a little 500 attack boost, and then you can instantly summon this card back from the graveyard. The fact that this card can get itself in the graveyard inherently through its own effect is amazing. Then we have Salamangreat Foul. This card is kind of trash to me. It's a level 4 Fire Cyber's monster, 1800, 200 defense, and the first effect is hard once per turn. If a Salamangreat monster is normal / special summon to your field, except another copy of Foul, you can special summon this card from your hand. Okay, being able to get it out of your hand is nice. That's obviously pretty good. You don't have to use your normal summon on this. The problem to me is the second effect. It says you can send one Salamangreat card from your hand or face up from your field to the graveyard, then target one set spell / trap card your opponent controls. That target cannot be activated during this turn. My problem is that this card doesn't even have a fucking built-in MS. Like, you can't even destroy the card or send it back to their deck so they still can use it like during their next turn or during later turns. Like, you know, if you look at HEATLEO, that already has like spell and trap removal built into its effect. And then with Salamangreat Sanctuary, if you can use one HEATLEO to summon another one, I think this card is incredibly mediocre. It doesn't activate from the graveyard. I just don't like it. And I don't think that I'd ever use like a normal summon on it, because why would you summon this when you could summon something like Gazelle that is infinitely better, or Mirror, or just something else in the archetype? We've got Salamangreat Mirage Stallion. This is the XC monster that we have all been waiting for, Kappa, because we didn't know we were going to get it. It's a rank 3, Cyber's obviously fire attribute, 200 or 2000 attack, 900 defense. It is actually generic. It just requires 2 level 3 monsters, which is, that's a little scary to me. And the first and second are both hard once returns. First effect is you can detach 1 material from this card, special summon 1 Salamangreat monster from your deck in face-up defense position. Also, for the rest of the turn, you cannot activate monster effects except fire effects. Some people might be like, Cap, why are you so scared? What's the big hype around this card? You do realize that this is literally M-X-SABER Invoker, right? This is M-X-SABER Invoker for the Salamangreat deck. It's literally the same exact monster as Invoker. It just has better stats. And obviously, if you normal summon your Gazelle, you can send Spiny to the graveyard. You can special summon Spiny. You can exceed them both. You can go into this card. You can detach a material, get any other monster from your deck. Not only have you gone +1, but you now have an XC monster on field. Like, this card is amazing for the archetype. Feels like it's probably a 2 of in the deck. Second effect says, if this XC summon card is sent to the graveyard for a link summon of a Salamangreat link monster, you can target 1 monster on the field, return that monster to its owner's hand. This is even better. Man, what is there's 1 Salamangreat in the deck. I forget exactly which one it is. It might be Mir. There's one of them that when it's returned to your hand, you can special summon it, but mainly you're going to be using this as a way to get your opponent's monsters off the field. You can target one of their set card or one of their set monsters so that you can attack directly, or obviously you can just wreck one of their extra deck monsters, make them put it back in the extra deck, and obviously that's pretty good because it's not coming back. Overall, I think the card is amazing. Then lastly, we have the Rhoda of the deck. This is really solid as well because it's actually a quick play Rhoda for some reason. It's a hard once per turn on the effect, and it says activate one of these effects. You either get to add 1 Salamangreat monster from your deck to your hand, which means it's a Rhoda, and probably an automatic 3 of, just because Rhodas are 3 ofs in Yu-Gi-Oh! The second says target 1 Salamangreat link monster that was link summoned using a link monster, or excuse me, a link material with the same name as itself. It is unaffected by other monster effects for the rest of the turn. So this is, isn't this Sky Strike Eagle Booster, if I'm not mistaken? Basically, you can kind of just have your monster become unaffected by your opponent's hand traps or by your opponent's other monsters on the field. I mean, just the fact that it's a Rhoda means that you're always going to run this card, and the fact that you get another option to use during your opponent's turn makes this one of the best Rhodas in the game, in my opinion. Also, you can maybe use it as bait for, like, you know, spell and trap removal. Overall, it's a 3 of, and overall, I kind of like the support that this archetype is getting. I can't remember legitimately, guys, the last time I bought a structure deck. You know, if Konami makes like a Luna-like structure deck or an Ultra Guy show, I'll fucking buy those. But I think that I'm actually gonna pick up this deck because it feels like it's incredibly under the radar. I'm getting a little bit of an Ultra Guys vibe, although playstyle was significantly different than Ultra Guys. But I feel like there's a lot of value that I'm seeing in this deck, and I feel like the archetype is definitely rounding out. And I don't know, I feel like I was pretty wrong on the archetype. So whatever you guys think, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already. Turn on that notification bell for daily videos and check out these other videos I know you'll enjoy. And if it sounds like I was trying to speed through this video, it's just I really didn't want to make this video like 15 minutes long.